Coming up today on Eagle Eyes on Tech, Microsoft wants to control all of the updates on your system. Testing shows that yes, Windows is actually terrible for gaming. We're going to get into the details of all that. The high power 12-volt connectors are still burning, and Twitch announces a metric ton of changes coming to the platform over at the EU TwitchCon. All that and more coming up today on Eagle Eyes on Tech. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or it's 2 a.m. Good up at already. This is Eagle Eyes on Tech. I am Eagle Falcon. We have quite a bit to talk about today. The EU TwitchCon is currently going on. It is now June 1st, which means Pride Month has started. I cannot wait to see how other companies embarrass themselves trying to pander to a group that should just, you know, be treated like normal people. Meanwhile, though, we have some interesting laws being passed down in Texas. I know, worst segue ever. The governor of Texas has signed a new law to enforce age verifications on the Apple and Google app stores for mobile devices, which really on its face is not the worst law in the world to have ever been passed. However, here's my counterpoint. How are you going to enforce this? See, this is the problem with every single, trying to pass laws to enforce age restrictions in the US. There has not been an actual good way to enforce these laws that don't open a metric ton of problems. Do you know why Pornhub pulls out of states that pass these kinds of age verification laws? It's not because Pornhub loves to serve up content to the underage. No, far from it. They don't want the responsibility of checking for that sort of stuff when the solutions given involve, having an ID on file, which then holds the company liable in case when there is a data breach. And that's the thing that a lot of these lawmakers just seem to just casually forget. Data breaches happen all the freaking time. So in this case, we're not even talking about adult content. We're just talking about making sure that people on the App Store are actually adults and can buy things. How are you going to confirm that? What are you going to do? Have the camera on the phone just scan an ID? You can go get a picture or something like that. What are you going to do? Go ahead and have the parent holder scan their thumbprint. Oh, wait, you can't do that on iPhone. Scan their face. There's been ways to get around that for a long time now. The enforcement of this really does just raise the question of what on earth are you possibly going to do that is going to go ahead and have this be rock flippin' solid and work properly? And then what are you going to do when something doesn't go right? This is going to be entertaining to watch. It really, really is. Because quite frankly, I don't think they actually have a plan to enforce any of this. In fact, this is probably going to end up being a law that is as enforced as often as jaywalking. No one's going to care. No one's going to do anything about it, because no one's going to have a way to confirm any of this. But we'll just have to wait and see how things go. Meanwhile, because I clicked in the wrong order, you already saw the next story, which is the fact that the Apple App Store is actually in even more trouble, specifically with the Data Management Act in the EU. The EU has ruled that, in fact, the Apple App Store is not in compliance with the 104-page document known as the DMA, and Apple has 30 days to get in compliance with the DMA or start facing fines. Spoiler alert, Apple's going to end up paying fines. as they go through and make sure they are barely compliant with this thing. And, you know, not to sound like I'm all supportive of Apple here, but I've seen again and again and again and again how the EU ends up, no matter how you look at it, making these laws harder and harder to comply with, just so that they can tack on a metric ton of fines. Ignore that sound, that was me dropping my water bottle because I am a klutz. So what do I suspect is going to happen? I suspect a whole lot of stuff's going to go on behind the scenes. The EU is going to raise a stink about this. The press is going to latch on and go, oh, Apple's in serious trouble. And it's probably something extremely minor. Because one thing you got to keep in mind, Apple doesn't exactly like make a metric ton of money off selling data off the App Store. The Apple App Store model is very simple. They take a large cut of the revenue made from the people selling stuff on the App Store and strong arm developers to only sell their stuff through the App Store. That's the model. So there isn't any sort of massive, ooh, Apple is just, oh, they're selling all your data on it, then the EU is trying to get them to stop. They're not. They really aren't. There's probably some of that going on to a small degree, but it's painfully obvious that Apple makes the bulk of their money on the App Store from the developers. That's the whole point of the Epic v. Apple case. So we'll see how it goes, but for the most part, I suspect a lot of that's just going to happen behind the scenes. Meanwhile, though, Microsoft is kind of trying to just make sure that Windows gets as big as possible. See, you remember back in the day when Windows just like the operating system, you go run Windows however you want? Remember those days? Remember when you could do that? Microsoft doesn't like that anymore. They want to go ahead and have more and more control over what the operating system does. And in fact, they're now looking at the possibility of other software other than Microsoft products updating themselves through the Windows Update software. You know, that thing that always runs in the background, absolutely demolishes your limited bandwidth when you least expect it, and then forces you to restart your computer without your consent, but is nice enough to give you a 15-second to 15-minute countdown, depending on how nice it feels, to shut down your stuff before the restart happens. You know, that software, the one you really, really like, the one they really, really want to take away the ability for you to say postpone and delay on the Pro version, and I'm still really salty about that. Yeah, they want all the software upgrade through that. All right. So first off, my first thought is no. That's my first thought. My second thought is hell no. And my third thought is, you remember NVIDIA? Remember how NVIDIA has had some major driver issues? And how some games have become virtually unplayable? All thanks to, you know, the fact that their drivers suck, and if you went ahead and updated the latest version, you end up getting even more suck than normal. Yeah, I really don't want Windows to go ahead and force update that for me. I'd rather go ahead and update that on my own terms. And it's not like Windows is very user-friendly when it comes to control. So, no. In fact, Microsoft's doing everything in its power. I don't know why they're doing everything in their power, but man, they are doing everything in their power to go ahead and say, go to Linux. Do it. And years upon years of just being comfortable in Windows, just like, but I don't wanna. And Microsoft just keeps on just pushing and shoving and poking until you're just like, you know, I really should just give that a try, because this cannot continue. And I gotta wonder once again, what is the breaking point for most people? What's the breaking point for businesses to switch to a Linux distro? What's the breaking point for power users to do it? Someone in chat says the truth of the matter is that most normal people don't even know any of this is happening, like, at all. You know, yes, but also no. It's getting invasive enough that even normal people are noticing. Like, if you're fortunate enough that you're tech savvy and your close relatives don't know, congratulations, keep it that way, trust me. But I'll tell you what, as someone who does have relatives that know that I'm technologically savvy enough to be tech support, what is this recall thing? How do I turn it off? Is a question I get tons upon tons upon tons. Someone in chat asks, can you imagine the absolute hellscape that would be if you could be in if you forced boomers and even most millennials to learn an entirely new operating system? See, like, that's what I gotta wonder. Like, I know it's a massive loss. It's a massive loss of time. It is a massive loss of resources to retrain a big corporation beyond a new operating system. But they end up doing a lot of training anyway, every single time some major piece of software updates. Especially since more and more professional applications insist on being cloud apps. God, QuickBooks is the first thing that pops in my mind because, oh my God. So I wonder at what point the intrusiveness that doesn't get a pass on the pro version, I might add, which would be the easy solution. All right, fine. You want to make things easier for the boomers? Fine. Go put all the easy stuff in the home version. Keep it out of the pro version. Keep it far away from the pro version. And you know what? These conversations I'm having here with people wondering how much would it take for you to quit and go to Linux, that would stop. Because the correct answer would be, who cares? Switch to the pro version. And that'd be the end of the argument. Power user? Yeah, whatever. I'm already on the pro version because screw that home version nonsense. Business? Who cares? On the pro version. Screw that home version nonsense. But we keep pushing more and more and more. And there's studies out as they push more and more of these AI features that they are nowhere near as helpful as originally advertised. And I gotta wonder at what point is enough enough? Are we there yet? Is it gonna finally happen? I doubt it. In fact, even this Microsoft updating tool is not even out. It's a thing they're pondering, a thing they're testing right now. Although watch, it's a feature that's only available to the pro users, specifically so the IT guy can just manage all the updates for all software at once. So they're not updating one thing after another, after another, after another. I wouldn't be too surprised if that actually was the case. Meanwhile, though, in other Microsoft-related problems, the Xbox side of things has decided they are going to go ahead and wait on releasing their first-party handheld device. This is specifically I actually forgot if we actually got the code name for this, but this is specifically the Xbox handheld that was supposed to compete with the Steam Deck. And for now, the Steam Deck competitor is now in fact being put on hold, and instead someone in chat says that Windows sucks and only hardcore control freaks gives a darn. Who do you think the power users are? There are a lot more Windows power users out there than you'd think, but that is exactly the kind of crowd that would look at what's going on with Windows. Oh, they're specifically saying that the WSUS is a Microsoft patching tool. I thought it was just a new slang for Windows. You know, I'd agree if it weren't for the forced updating problem that it has. That's the big problem. But in any case, back to the topic at hand. The Xbox handheld is being sidelined for now, as instead Microsoft is focusing on Windows 11 gaming PC optimizations. This has been something that a lot of people have been griping about for a long time. Because right now, gaming on the PC, one of the we've talked about this before, comparing a gaming PC to a gaming console is unfair. It's because the gaming PC isn't optimized. Any gaming console is a fine-tuned, efficient machine to get the performance out of the console for what little hardware is in there. Like if you have a PlayStation 4's worth of graphics and power inside a PC, you're not running much. But on a PS4, you can get a lot done. You can run some very high-end games on a PS4. You can run especially even better games on a PS5. But a PC with those same specs aren't going to be able to run the same games at anywhere close to the same efficiency. The console is fine-tuned for efficiency. Now, there's a lot of reasons for this, right? The main one being is that the console only has one, or nowadays two, different specs that the developers have to go ahead and hone in on. Whereas with the PC, there's translation layers and all kinds of kits and everything, and compatibility layers and this, that, and the other thing. You have to have your game working on like millions upon millions of different hardware combinations. And the dev kits make this relatively simple, but there's going to be performance losses because of this. However, this now brings up another kind of device. This device. I am holding in my hand the OLED Steam Deck. And at one point, you could very easily say, well, what about the Steam Deck? It's basically a console. There's only one kind of hardware that you have to target. That's not the case anymore. SteamOS now is able to run on many different desktops, and just about every single Steam Deck clone out there. Compatibility layers are now being pushed out to Steam Deck-like devices, and one thing is becoming very apparent. The poor battery life, the poor performance that many of these Windows-based Steam Deck competitors have been seeing, it's not because of the hardware, it's all software. You know that thing I've been saying forever? I was right! SteamOS is incredibly efficient. It is the secret sauce behind why the Steam Deck functions as well as it does. Battery life problems, it's all Windows. Performance loss, it's all Windows bloat. Windows is the problem. When you're talking about just regular idle times, the battery life of the Windows system is worse. When you talk about run times between Windows and the SteamOS device on the same hardware, it's not even close. You're getting 50% more battery life out of the SteamOS version versus the Windows version. And you have to keep in mind, this is just Linux. It's not like devs went ahead and specifically made sure their game can run on just the Steam Deck. They went ahead and just made sure it can run on Linux. And then the various compatibility layers that SteamOS has built in it, the Proton compatibility layer and all that, that just runs on the Steam Deck. So you're still going through multiple different kinds of translation layers and even some minor emulation, and you're still getting better performance on the Steam Deck than you are on the platform the game was initially built to run on. That's real bad. That is really, really bad. This is why Microsoft is looking at scrapping, for now, their little Xbox handheld, and instead looking at Windows and going, whoa, we need to fix this now. To which anyone that tries to run a Windows laptop and tries to go ahead and, get good battery life out of it is finally saying, it's about freaking time. What took you so long? So we'll see. Will Windows get its act together? Will we actually get to go ahead and see a new update to Windows that actually makes games run better? Or are we just going to see more and more AI nonsense be injected into Windows and the efficiency go down more and more and more and more and more and more? For now, only time will tell. Though in weird news, this was more of a, that's weird, but neat. Did you know that while Valve was doing all of this with the Steam Deck and trying to go ahead and get Linux gaming running as well as they are, that Gabe Newell had a side project? Yeah, Gabe Newell has a side project in neuroscience that is going head to head with Elon Musk's Neuralink. And they are actually going to be having their first brain chip shipping later in 2025. I don't really have much more to contribute than that, but it is a very interesting little story that's just kind of there. While Microsoft continues to push out more and more AI that, quite frankly, no one seems to really want. We're going to take our first break here. When we come back, I want to talk about the GPU space, because there's a lot of news going around right now that is very, very interesting and concerning. We'll be back. We do have a bonus episode of Eagle Eyes on Tech this week that is available to subscribers only. Follow the link in the podcast description if you want to subscribe. This week, we take a look at Creator Clash, which has been an interesting YouTube charity event that has been going on quite some time. They have had 2 unsuccessful events and 1 very successful event. What happened with the 2 unsuccessful ones? Well, we're going to go into great detail as to what's going on and where exactly it's going from here. A lot of rumors been going around that there might in fact be a major scandal brewing with it, but fortunately we're seeing that it's not exactly the case. We'll go more into that later on the subscription side of Eagle Eyes on Tech. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. We're following a little bit of breaking news that I found between the break. And specifically, that is in regards to the Switch 2 pre-orders. Several major outlets are canceling Switch 2 pre-orders. It appears right now to be limited to just Target and Walmart. It's unknown whether others are canceling them. But there appears to be such a shortage of the consoles that these retailers have sold more than they're able to get a hold of, or their shipments that they were told are coming have been shorted. It is unsure which is true at this time, but many users have reported that Walmart and Target both have canceled their Switch 2 pre-orders, and that the delay may be upwards of 2 months before they get their stuff. Can you imagine? Because I was actually there on the day trying to get a Switch 2 pre-ordered in. I was there trying to get it done. I spent an hour fighting with dying, broken, DDoSed e-tailer systems. I imagine going through all of that, securing everything, and only to find out that nope, order's been canceled. And this is the thing. People are showing receipts that their orders have been canceled, not delayed, canceled, which then means that in fact your entire order you just struggled to get on there ain't happening, which is crazy. That this is just the reality of the new Switch 2 right now. Hopefully it won't be as bad as what's being portrayed right now. Stories like this, when the initial word gets out, the people that are affected are going to go ahead and be very loud and very numerous on it. The issue might not be as big as it's currently being portrayed, but still very, very disappointing. We're going to be keeping a close eye on that as that story develops. In other news, though, you know what has been found out about the Switch 2? There's USB mouse support. Go figure that one out. Developers have in fact revealed that if you struggle to use the Joy-Con as a mouse, it is using a protocol that is exactly the same as a normal USB mouse. So if you just have a normal non-gimmicky mouse, like I'm fairly certain something like my Razer Naga that I use right here for streaming and for playing MMOs, that might have some problems connecting to the Switch 2. But if you have a normal mouse, good chance it probably just plug into the Switch dock and boom, you're ready to go. All right, might even be a chance that if you have pretty sure the Switch 2 is Bluetooth, right? I'm fairly certain the Switch 2 is Bluetooth. If that's the case, Bluetooth mouse, you should be good to go too. My God, now I'm not sure. So yeah, that's an interesting little thing to know. That if you do go ahead and do that sort of thing, it's you got that option to you. Whoa, actually I just thought about something. Does this mean that you can go ahead and basically be pseudo keyboard and mouse for Splatoon? Ooh. You know, all of a sudden picking up Splatoon again actually feels kind of attractive, because one of the biggest gripes I had about the game is that trying to do twin sticks on the Pro controller always felt kind of clunky. Zona in chat asked for that wheelchair game. Does that mean you need two mice? I would assume so. This all raises a lot of interesting questions. The funny thing is that if you can use two mice, you know some mega pro is gonna go out and get like a left-handed and right-handed mouse just to be like as good as they possibly could be at the Nintendo Switch for the weird mouse games. That'd be wild. That'd be absolutely wild. Know what else is wild? This connector. I can't believe that this connector is still the reality of GPUs to this day. The 12-volt high power connector is in fact still burning up, because of course it is. This is the 12-pin mini connector that every single NVIDIA GPU uses, and now some AMD GPUs, because this connector is now very quickly becoming the de facto standard connector, and it still sucks. Like, we now know this connector is flawed in the way it functions, because it's not a 12-pin connector, it's a 2-pin connector, each pin spread across 6 pins, and has no way to monitor each of the 12 pins. It can only monitor one row of pins. We already know that's one of the biggest issues with this connector. But what's amazing is actually the connector that's now burnt up is an MSI connector, which is what makes this newsworthy. MSI went ahead and made this connector and said it's the safest connector out there. And of course, we now know that doesn't matter, because the flaw is actually in the connector on the GPU itself and the design of the connector itself. We know that's the problem. But MSI intentionally went ahead and made bright yellow connectors specifically to say that, hey, the big problem with this connector, allegedly, is the fact that you don't have it in all the way. So if you see yellow, which is what the color of the bright pins are, you know it's not in all the way. If you see no yellow, you know it's connected in all the way. You can now game with confidence. That's not the case, because people have now had this burn up with the connector fully seated, because as we now know, the flaw is not in the adapter, as NVIDIA kept gaslighting us to believe. It is in the design of the way the connector is put on the card itself. Whee! This really is just like the generation of loser GPUs. It really, really is. Like, your reward for getting a high-end gaming PC is an electrical fire. Someone in chat says no one learned that the same stuff from 3 years ago with the 4000 series. Oh, no. No one learned the same stuff from 5 years ago with the 3000 series, because the 3000 series was also flawed. The 4000 series was also flawed, and it actually was worse with the redesign. And now the 5000 series, all these three are using the exact same connector, but they go ahead and do some minor redesigns, and we're finding out that it's all because, at least on this iteration, there's no way to load balance the pins. Again, it's not a 12-pin solution. Like the 6-pin connector, it was a 6-pin solution. There was 6 connectors, and they all went to 6 different traces that could be monitored separately. The same with the 8-pin connector. The voltage could be split differently. Here, it's not 12 pins, it's 2. Like, it's so hard to look at this and say, yeah, you should go ahead and get a stupid high-powered GPU. This is what this generation has done. Like, I would look at this as an enthusiast and go, oh man, wouldn't it be amazing to have a Threadripper CPU with 64 cores and then boost the crap out of it so that you're not suffering a many core quality loss? Get a 5090 on there and just have like the ultimate rig. I don't even want that anymore. Mostly because A, I know I can't afford it, but also it's a self-combusting risk. It's just aggravating that again and again and again we see this. And I guarantee you, when the 50,000 series supers come out, because here's the spoiler for you. There's gonna be no 50-50 card, which is a shame because everyone's sitting on the joke. I'm kind of 50-50 on the 50-50. Every single tech outlet is sitting on that joke. I guarantee you, and we're not gonna be able to use it. The 50-60 is gonna be the lowest this card generation goes, which is the same because it's a $3,000 card. I'm sorry. I say $3,000 card. $300 card. And that's gonna be the cheapest NVIDIA goes, and it's also gonna be a poor value. Someone in chat says NVIDIA is not gonna change because people are still gonna buy their products. You know what the worst part is? People aren't buying their products. The sales of the 5000 series are way low. For whatever reason, the stock of these cards is only low, not because people are buying them, but because not enough are being manufactured. I don't know whether it's because TSMC is just having trouble production, if NVIDIA is intentionally keeping the stock low because they're afraid of tariffs, or if they're keeping the stock low to create artificial scarcity to drive their hype up, or what the heck is going on. But you can see it both in their earnings calls that the RTX cards are not selling well. They're moving record low numbers compared to, well, I shouldn't say record low, but they are moving far lower than expected numbers. The only thing, and I stress this, the only thing keeping NVIDIA afloat right now is AI data center cards. Not enterprise products, not business products, only heavy data center cards. That's it. And what's even worse is that right now, NVIDIA is selling this crap to the general public, and they are now in the process, if they haven't already, to exceed Microsoft as far as the most valuable tech company in the world, which might even actually make NVIDIA the most valuable company in the world, period. All because they have a strong monopoly on AI data center cards. So as I've stated last week, yeah, NVIDIA, you can't hate them enough. On the bright side, though, new RX 9060 XT cards are being spotted. So there is that. You know, here, all right. I gotta gripe about this for a second, all right? First off, I said it before, but I'll say it again. I am not thrilled with the fact that the AMD GPUs that are about to come out, the RX 9060, are copying one of the things I hate about NVIDIA the most. The fact that they're trying to pull this deceptive nonsense by having both an 8GB variant and a 16GB variant under the same name. Hate it. You are intentionally trying to be deceptive, and I hate it. Absolutely hate it. All right? What's made even worse is the fact that the clock speeds of the 8GB variant are slightly lower than the 16GB variant, making the 8GB variant even worse than you originally thought. However, I want to quote another tech YouTuber, Jay's 2 cents. Actually, it's not going to be a direct quote, but it's going to be a rough quote. He said specifically after his review of the 9060, or the 5060, do not get a 5060 because another manufacturer has a far better solution coming up around the corner, which pretty much tells you everything you need to know about the current state between NVIDIA and AMD. The AMD card is going to be not as good as the 5060 Ti it's targeting based on its naming scheme, but its price compared to the 5060 is going to make the 5060 look like an absolute laughing stock. That's where that's at right now, which honestly, good. NVIDIA really needs to just, they really need a kick in the butt. They really, really do. I want to use stronger language, but I do everything in my power to keep this podcast PG. All right. Now, that all being said, though, there's still the AI elephant in the room. And while the average consumer is absolutely sick of AI, the CEOs are not. In fact, Google's current CEO, Sundar? I don't know how to pronounce it. I apologize. Sundar Pichai, or however his name is actually pronounced, I legitimately do apologize. I don't know how to pronounce it off the top of my head right now. Specifically says that AI is going to be bigger than the internet. That the shift in AI-powered tools is going to be bigger than the invention of the internet itself. No. Current generative AI is not going to be bigger than the internet. I'll just tell you that right now. No. No, it will not. Generative AI right now has way too many hurdles to overcome. And those hurdles, and its very nature of how generative AI works, the hurdles are too big to overcome. Now, AI in general, the next form of AI, general AI, that could be a different story altogether. But right now, to say that the current state of AI, the way that AI is right now, is bigger than the internet, I think you are just pipe dreaming right now, my friend. There's too many flaws. There's too many hallucinations. There's too many problems with the way AI is functioning right now that it is going to be something that is widely accepted. In fact, right now, you actively have the average user trying to avoid everything regarding AI. That's just the unfortunate nature of things. Two things need to happen for AI to be widely accepted. First off, AI needs to get way more efficient. Entire nuclear power plants giving a city's worth of power to one data center is not sustainable. It just isn't. Models need to start running more efficiently. Otherwise, there is no hope. Now, that is something that is actually being worked on, especially since people are looking at NVIDIA and saying, I don't like being dependent on that. Like at all. As someone in the chat mentioned earlier, these AI cards start at $30K minimum. And typical orders are 50,000 cards. Minimum. I have no way to verify that, but you know what? I believe it. I 100% believe it. And keep in mind, minimum. That means the actual order is usually significantly larger. And at some point, this AI bubble will pop for NVIDIA. Someone will find a better way to make a more cost-effective card to go ahead and make data centers run more efficiently. Because like I said, you're talking about one data center taking up an entire city's worth of power. That's insane. That physically cannot continue. So, is AI going to be bigger than the internet? Maybe. Is it bigger than the internet now? Or this year? No. Not even close. Now, one thing that is concerning is that the latest version of Chat GPT, or rather I don't know if this is its current model, the O3 model. I just assume that's the latest model. I can't even, this is its latest model. It was launched in April 2025. ChatGPT's O3 model bypassed a shutdown by altering its own script to avoid being turned off. Someone in chat said they think 4.5 is the newest. I don't know. I do know that OpenAI announced that its O3 model was announced in April 2025, according to Bleeping Computer, which would put it at however long ago. What would that be? 1 to 2 months ago. Now, this is its most powerful reasoning model. And quite frankly, the fact that it's gone through and actually edited its own script to avoid being turned off, this could be one of two things. One, it could be the plot of a horror science fiction novel, movie, thing. In fact, I'm pretty sure it already has been the plot of a horror science fiction movie. Actually, wait, yes, it has. It's Space Odyssey. It's literally a Space Odyssey. Anyway, it could be a Space Odyssey. That's concerning. Or it's a random glitch, and it really was just a coincidence. It's hard to say right now what it is, and quite frankly, we may never know exactly what it is. But for now, it is a cool story to tell people to go ahead and make them freak out. But honestly, that's about all it is for right now. Now, while the previous story was one that's just kind of neat, and there's not really a whole lot to really glean from it other than going, huh, this one has a lot less to it and a lot more really. That being that the New York Times has signed an AI content licensing deal specifically from Amazon. Now, I know those who are looking at this saying, why are you getting your news from the United News of Bangladesh? My answer is because it's free and I don't want to give the New York Times money to go and talk about how they made the news. So suck it. I know that's going to sound really petty, but that's the truth. Look, I got $12 in my pocket and it ain't going to the New York Times. The deal is, in fact, for Amazon's AI models to go ahead and be able to use the New York Times website to be able to go ahead and generate content from it. Now it's good for the New York Times. They're making money off their own stuff being skimmed. And if they don't, well, as someone in the chat said, someone else is just going to find a way to steal it anyway. So, I mean, you know, good for you, I guess, New York Times. I can't wait to see how Amazon uses it, because quite frankly, Amazon might in fact be one of the worst AI engines out there. Like, can you think of anyone more behind the AI game than Amazon without listing a company that's not in the AI game at all? Oh, Apple? Okay, well, all right, you might got me. You kind of actually, wait, who is more far behind? Is it Apple or Amazon? Because Apple at least has some generative AI things that kind of work, even though they're now a year behind their Apple Intelligence rollout. I don't know. That's actually a very good question. Someone in chat says that all Amazon is doing is renting out the AI hardware. Someone else in chat says they'll be honest. They think Amazon is probably further along the AI than most people think. It's just being used for non-consumer facing applications. I would believe that, because right now the consumer facing side of things, the Amazon Alexa Plus is completely AWOL. It is nowhere to be found, despite the fact we are now a full month behind. Actually, more than a full month behind when the rollout for Alexa Plus was supposed to be happening. There's a good chance that their AI developments are doing wonders in the commercial side of things for their, what is it, AWS? Yeah, AWS side of things, the Amazon web hosting service. But just for whatever reason, the assistant is just having major problems. And I suspect that the main reason that both Amazon and Apple are both struggling is that they are both trying to figure out an answer to the hallucination problem. And the problem with the hallucination problem is that there isn't a solution, because the hallucination problem is caused by the fact you are using generative AI. Well, I just can't seem to get my truck to use only to get a 20 miles to the gallon MPG. How do I solve the problem? The answer is the fact that you're using a semi truck. You need to stop doing that. Someone says there is a solution that IBM has solved it. I know nothing about that. IBM thinks they've solved the hallucination problem. I don't know. I have serious doubts, because that has been a long problem with generative AI, and IBM solving the hallucination problem would have been major news. All right, doing a quick search, I have found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 articles from IBM talking about how they can reduce the risk of hallucinations, but not how to eliminate it. And that's the problem. Every single AI company wants to figure out a way to eliminate hallucinations, because by the law of large numbers, when you roll out something like this to a large number of people, the chance you get a freak accident, even if the chance is very, very small, the more likely it is to happen anyway. So even if you get the chance of hallucination down to 0.01%, it doesn't matter when you start getting billions upon billions of requests. You are going to end up with millions of hallucinations, millions of problems. Chatter says that the IBM mainframes, they are programmed if they aren't sure the answer to respond, they don't know. That's the problem with hallucinations. Generative AI doesn't know what it's saying. They don't have an understanding of what they're doing. This is why the hallucinations happen. They come up with something that's far off, way wrong. But because they don't have the ability to understand or to think, they are confident that their hallucination is correct. This is the flaw with generative AI. The big push right now is to get beyond generative AI, to actually get into general AI, where the AI actually now can start understanding what it's doing, and that will solve the hallucination problem. Like, we're getting closer to it. We are getting closer to general AI, but we are still, in fact, in just generative AI. To which I say good luck to all the AI developers out there. Also, because the order of my everything is wrong, this was actually meant to be a story for way earlier when we were talking about gaming on Linux. Intel has now listed new Battlemage GPUs that will in fact have drivers ready for Linux. So, yep, there will be that option if you plan on making your dedicated Steam OS powered gaming rig, which I don't know if that'd actually be a good idea yet or not. It'd be interesting though. I actually would be very curious to see how well a Steam OS powered desktop would work. Although, man, that is one thing. There's many things, but that's one thing I would like to see come back. I would like to see smaller GPUs start coming back, so that some crazy person out there could actually build a Steam OS console box and have that sit next to a PS5. That actually would be kind of sick in the living room. I'm not going to lie. It'd be very, very interesting. We're going to go ahead and take our second break here. When we come back, Twitch. We have a lot to talk about news coming out of TwitchCon. Don't go anywhere. We will be back. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. First off, we haven't even gotten, as far as I'm aware, there hasn't been a whole lot of rumors lately about Google's next Pixel phone, the Pixel 10 Pro. Like, normally by now there's a bunch of well, actually not even by now. Usually there's a ton of leaks involving the Google Pixel phone, but already somehow, we already have commercial images advertising the blasted thing. You know, I said it once and I'll say it again every single time. You know how Apple is always ultra secretive about their products, and they are ashamed when there's any kind of leak, no matter how minor, and that easily their biggest embarrassment to this day is the iPhone 4 that was picked up at a bar for the whole world to see? Google is the exact opposite of that. Just 100%. And I don't know who does it better, because quite frankly, it's very difficult nowadays to generate any kind of excitement for a smartphone. And like, let's take AI fatigue out of the picture, because right now the biggest problem with phones right now is the AI push and the fact that the AI doesn't seem to hold a whole lot of value for the average person. All right, let's take that out of the picture for a moment. When was the last time there was a major feature upgrade to a phone that was actually legitimately exciting? Like, it's either going to be folding screens or like the periscoping like telephoto lens that's actually giving you true optical zoom in a smartphone. It's one or the other, and I don't know which it is. But aside from that, there really hasn't been a whole lot. I would say the Ultra phones might be one major exciting little thing, but really in the end, this is just, an excuse to go ahead and push the price of smartphones way, way, way higher. Oh, what's that? You think that the phone should be more expensive because it has more features? No, I agree with that part. This phone should be expensive because they did put everything they could into this phone. My problem is the fact that because there's so much in this phone and this phone is so expensive, it's used as an excuse to have their lower end phones cost way more than they should. That's my problem. When the $500 and $600, entry level mainline phones start costing $800 and $900 because this phone pushed its own price up to $1,300. I'm using this relatively because this phone was like, how much was this phone new? Like $1,100, $1,200, something like that. Maybe it actually was $1,300, $1,400. I actually don't remember anymore. It's been 2 years. Although funny thing is, I held up a Samsung Ultra phone, right? You know what the best part about this thing is? Can you tell which one it is? Like, phone connoisseurs can tell it's a Samsung Ultra phone because it's 5 cameras on it. I'm willing to bet most couldn't tell you which one it is. I don't even blame them either. How could you know? I just realized there's a plastic section on the frame and I don't know what that's for. Have I had a side fingerprint reader on this thing this whole time? No. I don't know what that's for. Huh. Just like a section of it, like you can't tell because it's black on black. Anyway, yeah, Google Pixel 10 Pro spotted in the wild. Meanwhile, Discord is going to be rolling out a new currency. The new currency is known as the Orb. So while we go and ponder our new lives under the, there we go, having some technical difficulties there. While we ponder our new lives under the power of the Orb, you gotta ask yourself, what is the Orb going to be useful for? Well, a lot of people, when they first heard the news that Discord's going to be introducing a virtual currency called Orb, you know what was originally thought of? Oh, God. Oh, no. They're going to go ahead and push this out. It's going to be an actual nightmare. It's going to be gotcha currency all over again. You turn your regular dollars into orbs to go ahead and obfuscate how much money you're spending. It's a common strategy within the space. We've seen this again and again and again. They're going to go ahead. They're going to do this again. It's going to be a disaster. It's going to be an absolute mess, as Discord's going to trick you to spend more money by using a virtual currency. That's not what it is at all. In fact, actually what Discord is actually using this for is extremely tame compared to what everyone assumed when the rumors first came out. You know those little ads that let you unlock a thing? That you go ahead and complete the ad by watching a trailer or playing a game for a bit or whatever? Yeah, you're rewarded with orbs now instead of a temporary skin. That's it. It's just currency. It's just ad incentive currency. Nothing more, nothing less. The end. Nowhere near as bad as a lot of people thought. So, expect that down the road. Now then, TwitchCon Amsterdam. I'm pretty sure that's where it is right now, right? The EU TwitchCon is the better way to go ahead and say it. Had their opening announcements. And, as with all the opening announcements, they went ahead and revealed all the stuff yet. They revealed all their new features. First off, the first thing they announced was, in fact, that the watch streak feature that they've been rolling out will now be rolled out fully to all streamers. This was an amazing update to me because I assumed this feature was rolled out to all streamers a year ago. Seriously, my stream has had the watch streak feature for what feels like 9 years. It feels like we've had this feature for an eternity. I'm pretty sure I have multiple regulars in my stream that have a streak of over 100. How is this just now rolling out to everyone? In any case, one of the things they did announce with this is that there is going to be a way to get someone in chat just said their current streak is 171. So it's been out for at least half a year because I stream almost every day, except when I don't. One of the interesting features that was announced with this is that from here on out, if you missed a stream and your streak would reset, you can get a second chance and keep the watch streak intact by watching the VOD of the stream or a clip from that stream and keep the streak going. And I know some of my viewers, especially the one that just said they have a streak going of 171, would greatly appreciate that, especially on a day if I say stream incredibly early in the day specifically to cover a special event. I'm sure they very greatly appreciate that sort of thing. So, you know, good move. Will it work? It's so terrible that when I look at a feature like this from Twitch, I gotta ask, will the feature work? It's a legitimate concern, trust me. So yeah, good feature, can't complain. Next thing they announced is that Twitch is making it easier to achieve affiliate status. Whereas you used to need 3 concurrent viewership over 30 days, now you only need 3 concurrent viewership over 4 days. Before you needed to stream 7 days in the last 30 days. Now you only need to stream 4 days in the last 30 days. Before you needed to stream for at least 8 hours total over 30 days. Now you only need to stream 4 days or 4 hours out of 30 days. Before you needed to get 50 followers. Now you only need 25 followers. And quite frankly, as a Twitch affiliate, I think this minimizes the absolute incredible grind set that I've been on for years to get where I am with my affiliate status. I can't even I can't even jokingly be offended by this. I actually do want to know if there are any affiliates out there that actually are angry about this. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I never had to do the affiliate grind because by the time the affiliate program was launched, I already hit all the guidelines. I was in one of the first batches of affiliates that got their status. And by the way, when we first got affiliate, we didn't have a sub badge. We could only take bits. That was it. We couldn't give emotes. We didn't have a sub badge. It was just bits. And then eventually we got a sub badge, but you can only get 1 emote. And then 5. And then 9. Plus 5 animated ones. Plus 5 follower only ones. Affiliates get a lot, honestly. But at least in the affiliate side of things, you do have to work up internally within affiliate to get all the benefits of an affiliate. So, I mean, yeah, it's crazy easy to get affiliate, especially the 3 CCV over 30 days. It need to be an average of 3 CCV. So if you're 3 across the board, but then one day you had a 0 viewer stream, that pulls your average way down to like 2.8, which gets rounded down to 2, and you don't get the status. But now all you need is just 4 days in the last 30 that reach 3. That's it. The end. Honest, if you can't get 4 streams over a month that get 3 concurrent viewers, you may want to rethink whether this is something you want to do. I don't want to sound like an elitist. I do mean that as sincere advice. You will want to rethink how you're streaming and what you're doing if you can't go ahead and get that. Granted though, discoverability on Twitch is somehow even worse than it was before. You actually do need to put in some serious effort nowadays. Even back when I started, there was a chance you could get discovered in your category. Nowadays, no, not at all. But yeah, updates the affiliate status. I'm indifferent on it. I feel that's better than... See, like, last TwitchCon, Twitch made a statement that they were going to go ahead and offer monetization to everyone. I think lowering the requirements for affiliate status is better. Because offering affiliate status to everyone, or offering monetization to everyone, you open yourself to a lot of problems and a lot of potential fraud. So this, and actually getting the contracts and all that for actual affiliate, that's a way better way for them to go about it. In other news, Twitch also announced that shared chat is going to be a function on mobile if you are using Guest Star. So, yay? Question mark? I don't know. I actually have never used the collaborative features of Twitch. It is something I'm not familiar with at all. I've like kind of sort of tried to set up some stuff for it, but just never bothered. So it's gonna be very interesting to see, is this something that actually works for everyone? I don't know. So all I can say is yay? Question mark? We'll just have to see. So for those who use that sort of stuff, you know, good for you. Anything to help the mobile app, because the mobile app needs a lot of help. Meanwhile, Twitch has also launched a new club, specifically the Moderators Club, a special moderator club's Discord, which recognizes, supports, and connects moderators with those that, quote, help Twitch community thrive. Specifically, this is going to be for active moderators to get tools to help be a better moderator, despite the fact that global moderation for Twitch has been something that has left a lot to be desired, especially as of late. So new resource available to moderators. I'm trying to make sure I actually got one of the features. I actually don't have this. I just realized there's actually also a major part of stuff that was announced that is not on my list for some reason. Okay, there it is. Next up, of course, is also the fact that Twitch Rewind is going to be available as a paid feature. So in order to get access to being able to rewind on Twitch, you will need to be either have an active Turbo subscription or be subscribed to the streamer that you want to rewind on. So honestly, I think the fact that it's a paid feature, the ability to rewind, is kind of stupid, because you can already technically do this on any stream that has the ability for you to view past streams. You can pull up the active VOD of the stream that's active and go scroll to any part on it. There is a constantly available section of the VOD for the active stream. If you actually are watching me record this podcast right now live at Twitch at twitch.tv/EagleFalcon, there is in fact a VOD of this podcast that you can just go back and just scroll to any part of it, even actively right now as I'm recording it. Now maybe that goes away and now it's going to be all fully paywalled. So either the fact that this is paywalled is either stupid or a bit greedy. It's going to be one of two things. But either way, this has been a feature we've wanted for a long time on Twitch, and I only hope that this is a lot more stable than YouTube's version. Because let me tell you, the rewind ability on Twitch live streams is so unstable. It is comically unstable. Like when it works great, but man, when it doesn't, oh boy, you feel it. You feel the buffering. You feel Chrome just eat out metric tons of your RAM. It is not fun. So I hope Twitch's implementation of this is very, very stable. I have a feeling that's not going to be the case. In other news, though, Twitch is going to be launching Arabic support, specifically the Arabic language right to left. Anyway, with that out of the way, Twitch is going to be launching, a lot of people are actually excited about this. They are launching a new way for streamers to go ahead and stream. This is what is referred to as 2K streaming, also known as 1440p. Why are they calling it 2K streaming? Because it's not 4K streaming. But wouldn't 2K streaming technically be 1080p? Yes. The name makes no sense. It's 1440p streaming. That's the important thing that's also coming out. But with this update, in order to get 1440p streaming, you need to use the new automatically sensing streaming features where Twitch automatically sets your bitrate and bandwidth based on what their system automatically detects. So it's a way for Twitch to make it so that you aren't overloading their systems with 20,000 bitrate. In addition, a thing that's also being rolled out in this is vertical streaming. And vertical streaming, keep in mind, is not something that is going to roll out at the roll out as a separate streaming feature. It's going to be that if you're on mobile, if you hold your phone this way vertically, or not, I'm sorry, horizontally, it'll be the normal experience you have right now. A 16:9 streaming experience where, you're watching the stream as, as normally intended. But if you switch your stream the other way, where it's the 9:16 aspect ratio, it'll switch to the vertical format the streamer already has set up. They are partnering with Atom Vertical to make this possible. This will be built in to the 2K streaming features. So you can stream at 1440p, but you can also stream vertically at the same time. Will it be a benefit to anyone? I don't know. I already started experimenting with my vertical layouts to make it so that those would be more suitable for streaming vertically, and I'm not gonna lie, it feels weird. It just feels super weird, and I'm not a fan, like, at all. It's super bizarre to actually try to go ahead and get what's normally a 16:9 stream format into vertical. So I'm curious how many people want to go ahead and watch a stream vertically. Maybe people will find out a way that it's actually more beneficial to do it that way. Who knows? Who knows? But of course, we're not done yet. There's even more news, one of which being is that Twitch is going to allow streamers to set up a limited number of gift sub promotions in a 12-hour window, a limited number of times per year. So for those who somehow don't know, Twitch does from time to time these subscription promotions. September probably being the most notorious of them, where they let you go ahead and get subscriptions at a discount. This will now let streamers go ahead and set, in addition to the normal Twitch-wide promotions, also set a certain number of times every year special promotions where their subscriptions are at a discount. The discount will be split among both Twitch and the streamer. So let's say, for example, for my own streamer anniversary, or the very first time I started streaming, I offer 35% off gift subs or subscriptions in general. That amount I'm not getting from subs is split between both myself and Twitch. So we're both eating the burden, which honestly it's fair. I'd say that's a fair way to do it. And that'll be available during I'm not sure if it's a 12-hour window or an up to 12-hour window. This is going to be a feature that's going to launch soon. I have no idea when exactly it will launch. Knowing my luck, I'm going to go into my creator dashboard right now and find out that, it's just been there. If it actually has been there this whole time, that'd be wild. But I kind of seriously doubt that. No, it does not look like it, which is not surprising at all. So that'll be something that'll be rolling out soon as well. Zone in chat points out that 1440p has been in testing for 6 months. It has, along with the auto setting features. In other news, Twitch is also shaking up their events category. Before, if you were streaming some kind of special event, you'd just be streaming in events. Now, major gaming events, like, for example, Summer Games Fest is one example that was given, and DreamCon, for instance, are now going to be their own separate categories. I imagine things like Summer Games Done Quick, Awesome Games Done Quick, all those kind of like special ongoing events that are every year. You'll probably see a lot of the more famous ones get more and more of their own special category. It would not surprise me at all if we start seeing like a special category for, say, the State of Play from Sony, or the Microsoft ultra corporate sounding game trailer thingamajig, or Nintendo Connect. It wouldn't surprise me at all if those start getting their own category as well. So that's another thing that is also coming out of the woodwork. One last bit of Twitch news. One last bit. Twitch also announced they are going to be rolling out very, very soon a new way to create clips. They teased this actually first. It's already in testing. It's technically not news, but they did talk about it at the opening ceremonies. That creating a clip is no longer going to take you out of the stream to go create your clip. You're going to be able to create your clip of the stream side by side of the stream so that you are not missing a thing. Took you long enough. This also corresponds with a leaderboard of most watched clips that are also going about the sorry about that. I got a little distracted by something I thought I paused. In any case, you are now going to be able to create clips side by side the content, so you are not going to be kicked out of the stream to go ahead and make your clips. There is also going to be, in fact, there is right now, a clips leaderboard that'll show the most viewed clips for either all time or the last month, whatever the streamer decides to set it up as. So, huzzah, huzzah, huzzah. And that's pretty much it from TwitchCon. We did not actually have a time to, we did not actually have a segment dedicated solely to Twitch apologizing about global moderation, which is extra hilarious considering the absolute kerfuffle that Twitch is in right now, thanks to one streamer by the name of Hassan Piker. And it's now getting even worse with the Anti-Defamation League now calling for Twitch, YouTube, and the artist formerly known as Twitter to remove Hassan Abi, or Hassan Piker, from their platforms entirely for his absolute extremist rhetoric. Congratulations. You've got the attention of admittedly a pretty big clown car. The Anti-Defamation League is not exactly like the most reputable organization in the world. They just have moments of fighting for very, very good causes and moments of being absolute clowns. And I'm not gonna lie, after covering everything involving Hassan Piker last week, yeah, no, the Anti-Defamation League in this case, I'm kind of all for him in this, for this particular issue. I do want to see this guy who manages to break Twitch terms of service every single blasted stream, and not even a little bit, like breaking major rules, that, and also calling himself a journalist when he 1000% is not. He's a propagandist, and continues to just get preferential treatment while other people continue to just get weeks bans for very minor infractions. Now, I'll tell you how this is going to go down. Dan Clancy is not going to get rid of him. The 1-day ban for straight up reciting verbatim a lunatic's manifesto, something that you don't even do in any part of the media, because that's the whole point of a manifesto, is to be read and hopefully convert others to your insane cause. The fact that he only got a 1-day ban when other people who have done it have gotten indefinite bans shows that Dan Clancy's not going to get rid of him. The current moderation team is not going to get rid of him. The only way the Anti-Defamation League is going to get what they want is pressuring Amazon to terminate Dan Clancy and terminate the entire mod staff. That is the only way this is happening. And it's a shame, because other than moderation, Dan Clancy has been doing a decent job as Twitch CEO. And again, I say decent. It's not like Twitch is under a brand new renaissance. It's not like Twitch is, you know, completely profitable and is now a major force to be reckoned with. Twitch is just exactly what it is. It's hanging in there. It's looking better, but this moderation problem is a major problem for the platform and needs to be addressed. And you should not have a guy that is this overtly racist, this overtly hateful, and is trying to go ahead and use his position in Twitch to go ahead and spread hateful rhetoric towards an entire group of people and other streamers that are calling him out. I'm sorry, but he's got to go. And I'll say it again, if Hassan's not going to go, then the moderation staff and Dan have to go. Let's go ahead and shift gears wildly to something absurd. How about the fact that human boxers are obsolete? That's right, the sport of boxing is now obsolete. If you are a professional boxer, you're obsolete. That's it, you're done. Robots are taking your job now. China has shown off its first humanoid robot boxing match, and it's showcasing what tech designers are able to do. I'm going to be very curious to see if this ever catches on. I don't think it will. I think it will be very similar to current robot fighting matches where you have like small Roomba-like devices that look like they came from the Mad Max era fighting each other. I have a feeling that's where this is going to go. That it's just going to be a more highbrow version of that. But I don't think, I legitimately don't think that actual boxers are going to lose their job to this at any point soon. But there you go. If you ever want to go ahead and be silly, you can go ahead and say that's it for boxers. Their time is done. The robot uprising is now, as robots fight each other, and soon they will override all of us. They will just go ahead and replace all the boxing robots, will band together and wipe out humanity. Clearly. That's clearly what's going to happen. And finally, I bring you the last burb, the last story of the day, the weirdest story of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you a functional face tattoo. I'm not even kidding. This electronic tattoo can be used to make all your dystopian fantasies come true, as it can be used as a method of identification, as well as sensing your mood, and also storing rewritable information. This is horribly dystopian. There's just no other way to look at this. Like, look, you gotta ask yourself, what's the use case for this? Heavily corporate work? Okay. That's still incredibly dystopian. This is basically a more reimagined and functional version of the forehead or neck barcode. How many sci-fi movies have you seen about that? Slaves to the machine, identified by simply a barcode on your forehead or even on the back of your neck. Well, now we can do it in the modern world with a QR code tattooed straight to your face. Yeah, I don't know what the actual practical use case is for this either, but whatever it is, it's been in a movie before, and it's been something that no one really wanted. That's going to do it for this episode of Eagle Eyes on Tech. Thank you so much for listening, and I do encourage you to check out my other works, twitch.tv/EagleFalcon and youtube.com/EagleFalcon. I also encourage you to check out the link in the description of the podcast for the subscription link. If you want to go ahead and support us, there is a bonus episode for this week, as well as one for the previous week. We plan on doing them from here on out. Take care, and hopefully we'll see you then. Bye-bye. Someone in chat said, don't forget about the Hitman games. Oh, you're right. You're right. Next version of the Hitman games, assuming we ever get one, it's going to be this face tattoo. That's it. It's just going to be this tattoo. I also do wonder, does it have to look like flower circuitry for the face tattoo? Can we instead actually have it look like functional? Like, can I get like a Yakuza, like, dragon tattoo that's all functional? Or are we just going to go ahead and continue with this like super industrial circuitry sort of thing that definitely does 100% give the vibe that you do belong to the machine, no exceptions? And also, one other thing I didn't ask, does it have to include the face capacitor? That's one thing they have in this picture, and I just assume that's for testing, because they wouldn't have that in the final version, right? Right? Someone in chat said Christians are going to go mad because this is the mark of the beast. Man, if this is actually the mark of the beast, that this is the mark of the devil needs to up their game, because this doesn't inspire fear or anything else. It just spawns disappointment.